So hello and welcome everyone. My name is Jay Dalsaniya, and in this video we are going to solve the problem that is modify the array. So let's try to understand what the question is trying to say. Okay, so here I have taken an example that contains positive numbers and 0 is also present. So the array which will be given in the input will contain positive as well as zeros. Now we are supposed to get rid of the duplicates that are adjacent to each other. So there are some operations in which you can get rid of these adjacent elements. So here you can see this 2 and 2 are adjacent and they are duplicate. So the problem statement is saying that the first number should be replaced with the double value of itself. So 2 will be replaced with 2 into 2, that is 4, and the second number will be replaced with a 0. So in this manner you are supposed to get rid of all the adjacent duplicate elements, and after doing so, let's see what we will be getting. So here I'll be replacing this one, the first number, with 4, and the second one will be replaced with a 0. Now this is a 0, 0 is invalid, so I'll not do anything to 0. Now the next number is 4. I can see 4 and 4, they are adjacent to each other. So the first one will be replaced with 8 and the next one will be replaced with a 0. And the next one is also 0, this one is also 0, and this one is 8. So now you got this as your modified array. Now they are saying that after doing this operation, you are supposed to rearrange in such a manner that all the zeros will be at the end of the array. So here you can see all the zeros have been arranged at the end of the array. This is what I have at the beginning of the array. So this was the question. I hope you guys understood and what the problem statement is trying to say. Now let's try to think on how we can solve this question. Okay, so now here what I will be doing, I'll be taking the same example in order to explain you how we can basically apply the operations over here. So what I will do, I will have one condition and I will start the iteration from I equals to 1. Wherever I find that array of I is equal to the previous number, that is array of I minus 1, then in that case I will replace the previous number with the double value, and then I am going to replace the current number, that is ith number, with a 0. So we are going to modify the given array with the help of this condition. So here I can see my I is currently standing at index number 1. This and the previous one, both of them are equal. So the previous one will be replaced with the double value. So 2, this one will be replaced with 4, and this one current number will be replaced with a 0. Okay, fine. Now moving on forward, next index is a 0. It is invalid. So here we also need to check that the number should be a valid number. That means it should be greater than 0. Then and only then we are supposed to apply this operation. For a 0 or invalid number, we are not supposed to apply this operation. So now moving on forward, next element is 4. This 4 and the previous one are not equal. These two are not equal. So moving on forward, now this is my current number. This and the previous one, both of them are equal. So the previous one will be replaced with an 8, that is double the value of 4, and the current one will be replaced by a 0. Now moving on forward, so the next one is 0, it is invalid. Next one is 0 and it is invalid. Next one is 8, it is valid. So check the previous one, is it 8? No, it is not 8. Okay, so now we have modified the given array and we have got rid of the adjacent duplicates. Now what we are supposed to do? Now we are supposed to move all the zeros to the end of the array. So this is a very famous algorithm, move all the zeros to the end of an array. So if you are not aware about that algorithm, then I highly recommend that after watching this video, learn that algorithm as well and then try to solve this question. So I'm going to use that same algorithm over here in order to move all the zeros to the end of the array. So here what I will do, that algorithm says keep a count variable. So count will be initially equal to 0. Count points to the index where you are supposed to keep the positive number. Okay, and then you will be having a loop variable, that is I. I will be one by one iterating over all the elements and finding out the positive elements. And whenever you find a positive element, you will place that element at the count position. So if you find that the current element, that is array of I, is actually greater than 0, then what you are supposed to do, you are going to place this current element, that is ith element, at the count position, and then you are supposed to increment the count by 1. So count will be pointing to the next position where another positive number can be placed. Okay, so let's see, count is initially at 0th index, I is also at 0th index. Now I can see I is pointing to a positive number, so place that element at the count position. Okay, so array of 0 will be equal to array of 0, will be executed, and then increment the count by 1. So count will be over there, it will be pointing to index number 1. Okay, fine. And now I will move forward. So I is pointing to 0, it is not a positive number, so ignore it. Moving on forward, I is pointing to again 0, it is not a positive, so ignore it. Now I is pointing to 8, it is positive. So place this 8 at the count position. Count says 1, array of 1 will be equal to array of 3. So at index number 1, I am going to place this 8 and then increment the value of count. Okay, fine. Now move this I pointer forward. It is 0, ignore it. It is 0, ignore it. It is 0, ignore it. And it is a positive number. So place this number, that is 8, at the index number 2. What is the value of count? So count is currently 2. So at index number 2, place this element 7. So now here I will be placing an 8 and then incrementing the value of count. Now I'll continue the iteration. Now I is out of the bound and we have completed the entire iteration. Now in the second iteration, we are supposed to insert all the zeros starting from the count position to the end of the array. So starting from the count position, count is initially at index number 3. So make this element 0 and rest all the elements till the end of the array should be made 0. And at the end, what do we have? We have 4, 8, 8 and 5 times 0 according to this output. Now the question is expecting you to return an empty list or a new list which contains this kind of arrangement. So you can put all these array elements into that new list and return via that function. Okay, so I hope you got an idea how we are supposed to solve it. Now let's try to see the implementation for the same. So this is the implementation that I have done for this question. I have taken the size over here. Now I am removing all the valid duplicates. So I've started the iteration with I equals to 1 and going till I is less than n. As soon as I find that the element is valid and it is equal to the previous one, then previous one will be replaced with the double value and the current one will be replaced with a 0. Then the second step is to move all the zeros to the end. So I've kept a count and I've started the iteration from I equals to 0 till I is less than n. And as soon as I find a number that is positive, place that number at the count position and then increment the value of the count. And after that, wherever your count is pointing to, from that position to the end of the array, put all the elements as 0. So this is what this while loop is doing. And at the end, put all the modified elements from the array into a new answer array list, because the question is expecting that its return type is an empty list or a new list. So I'll be returning this answer list. Now let's click on the submit button and let's get this question solved. So now let's click on the submit button and let's solve this question. And we can see that the problem has been successfully submitted. So the time and space complexity of this approach is going to be order of n, and the space, if I don't consider the answer list that you have created, it is order of 1. So this was the solution for the question modify the array. I hope you understood the problem statement and the solution for it. So if you really enjoyed this solution, then do hit the like button and share down your approaches in the comment section below. So that was it for in this video. I will be seeing you in the next video. Till then, keep coding and thank you for watching.